Hi everyone, my name is Leishi Curbelo, Design Advocate at Sketch, and here in Women in Design with me today is Daphne Repain. How, Daphne?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today. I would like to know a little bit more about you and the audience can know you a little bit more. So can you present yourself?
Yes, my name is Daphne. I'm French. I'm living in Ecuador since 8 years now, and I'm leading the Experience Center of Excellence of Banco Pichincha in Ecuador.
Wow, that's amazing. So we have international guests from all around the world. Awesome, awesome. Here in Women in Design, we would love to understand what is your biggest inspiration right now.
Well, I have to say that my biggest inspiration it's more about. I think it's quite personal because it's more about uh, like by traveling and hiking. I like to open my mind to new possibilities. So, for example, by traveling, I will try to practice like mindful observation and to discover new things, new culture. And I also think that that's why I just love living abroad and not living in France, for example. And on the other hand, while I'm hiking, I get like a diverging way of thinking because I can think about so many things, and this open totally new thinking about creativity and new ideas.
It's interesting when people actually trying to find like creativity, to trying to find ideas, they forget that they need human connection and actually just connection with their surroundings. And that is one of the best things just to just spark ideas. And I think traveling for sure, like sometimes you didn't know the country and you find something interesting in the architecture, in the people, and just like the music. And
In the
that's like
food, in the sounds,
that's a good one.
everything.
Everything, definitely. So, what key lesson you learning in your career as a designer?
As a designer, I think I had so many lessons, but I really think today that the best thing I'm doing currently, it's like I'm a continuous learner. So I never stop learning. And I really think that this is the best part, like the growth mindset, always on is the best part. But the growth mindset without a knowledge transfer, for example, I think it would be a pity. So I always try to learn new things, and I also always manage a knowledge transfer in the way of organizing, creating new knowledge, sharing it, distribute it within the team, with friends, with within the organization where I'm working as well. And so you also have to make sure that it's about knowledge, like skills, behaviors, and ensure that people will get these those things available so that they could think about it, adopt it or not. And that's the key lessons I will have.
So cool. You know, like some people don't see how beneficial could be in just interchange like knowledge, like just learning from another one and just passing the things that in your opinion can work. Like that's the real connection of knowledge and learning actually, you know.
And I
So
really think that this helped me every day, for example, to go further, and also to make sure that the people with whom I'm working with can go further as well. And so, and also to get more impact, like impact at scale, because you're sharing it, and you're always like in this growing mindset.
talking about learning, one of the things that is important in the design industry is actually talking about different topics that sometimes are harder. So, what topic do you think are overlooked in the design industry?
Um, I think there are two topics are really like, I feel that we are not getting them like prioritized today. And the first one would be about ethics. I can't think about designing for people without thinking about we are here to solve human problems. So we should always think about the impact we would have with our problem solving. So I deeply think that today, for example, technology is everywhere. It can influence totally the way of how we are living. You can see that with artificial intelligence. Now we're talking about metaverse interactions or things like that. So I deeply think that as designer, we must have an ethical code. And I don't think that we have that regarding the international way of designing, for example. So for me, this is quite important, because we must always think about the impact of our designs on people's life, on society, and I personally think that we must think on like positive impact. So because if we're not thinking about positive impact, I think we could get like in social manipulation, and so this won't be like a human-centric design in my point of view. And the second one, as you're thinking about positive impact, would be like, okay, I shall always design as well for inclusion. So inclusive design as well is quite an important topic that not necessarily we are like prioritizing, because many times we're thinking like on business goals and not necessarily about inclusion.
Talking about ethics, one of the things that for me it's really hard when I see like dark patterns. We saw, because companies really want to monetize, so you see so many dark patterns being used in the design, like not thinking on the user, just thinking on how to monetize and prioritize like that conversion and that call to action. So it's really important to actually talk about these topics. I know that some people don't like it, but it's needed. So now that we are talking of this kind of challenge that are really hard for designers, because needs to have like a balance between the actual design principles, but actual the things that the company wants to know. What has been the biggest challenge that you faced in your career?
Well, I have to say that before getting in Ecuador, I had a really nice job. I was really happy in Paris, and I came in Ecuador like in 2014. And when I came, I was a woman, pregnant. I didn't speak a word of Spanish, and nearly nobody has heard in Ecuador previously about UX design. So within the country. So I think that I really came there knowing that there were so many opportunities, but I strongly believe that I had to open the doors. So I've started helping an association when I get there. This allows me to get better knowledge about the country, the culture, and also then I quickly understood that I had to learn Spanish, because doing human-centric design without speaking the language of the people for whom you are solving problems, it could be a huge problem. So I start learning Spanish, and I find a way of evangelizing UX in Ecuador. So I started to think about knowledge transfer, to participate like in local events, in conferences, trying to manage like small workshops to make sure that I could educate and share and get those practice, those tools, those framework, so that people could manage them within their organization, their startups, their products, and everything. So that I really think that was my biggest challenge. And after I've started to find to found like UXPA Ecuador, which is like user experience professional association for the Ecuador chapter. And we started a group, like we had the same motivations. We were like 12 people in 2015. And today I think we have like more than 500 members. So I think that the knowledge sharing has worked a lot. And now people within the community are sharing events, job offer, research questions, or books and whatever. So I think this is quite interesting.
First of all, I'm amazed. Second, congrats. Like that has been a lot. Like it's not only being a woman, it's a lot of things like in combination. And you are definitely an example of why we need more women in design. Actually, that's my next question for you. Like why we need more women? Like we need more representation, and it's hard to be there. Like as you actually mentioned now.
I just love that question because, for example, there is an example that I just love. 2016, like Google's starting with voice recognition. Series is in research and development and starting as well. And it was quite interesting because Google's voice recognition at the beginning, I think it was like more than 70% more likely to recognize a male voice than a woman voice. So that was quite interesting. And you start thinking about, okay, maybe men deciding for men. It's quite interesting to think that to solve human problem, to be inclusive about those problems and the impact we should have, we should think about making decision for all. So to make decision for all, I think that women, for example, have incredible social sensitivity, soft skills, empathy. So it's quite interesting to manage like diverse team and to think about that. If you have like, for example, and I think that you have studies about MIT, about McKinsey, and lots of research about the topics, but to get like women within teams, in general, you're going to complete a better complex task faster and better because you have a diverse team. Also, in general, you're going to get outperform better performance with those teams. And also that it's not because you have like the best IQ within the room that you're going to have the best solution. So, but we should really focus on diversity and social sensitivity, and this could be men or women, but I really think that we should manage in that way the teams we're building within the organization, within our company, to make sure that we have better problem solves.
Definitely, definitely. For a previous conversation that I was having with a colleague, she told me like we need more women in design because we are at the half of the population. It's the another half, so you need the another half. No, but definitely, thank you so much for being with us, Daphne. Another further basically words that you want to share with our audience before we go?
No, I'm really happy to be here today, and I would just think about encouraging people to always stay open-minded and to always think about critical thinking, for example, but to manage human problem solving, and make sure that we're always thinking about a positive impact we should have while being the users advocates, the human advocates, wherever we are working.
Thank you so much for being with us, and this is all for Women in Design with Sketch. See you soon, guys.